Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
This guest is one of the most engaging speakers you'll ever hear, and he's returning to our shores. Johann Hari is known for deep diving into the biggest issues our society faces, from our inability to pay attention thanks to big tech to the global phenomenon that is Ozempic. He's written a book about that called The Magic Pill. He joins us now. Hello, Johann.
Hey, Amanda. I have had so much caffeine that it's possible I will die during this interview. I apologise in advance if these are my last words.
Happy for it.
What a day it is for us then. You've been on the Ozempic.
I have. It's been the weirdest thing. You know, when I first heard that we've got this new drug, that there's been this staggering kind of medical breakthrough. So now we've got a drug that can actually cause people to lose 15% of their body weight. I felt so conflicted because the first thing I thought was, well, this could save my life. I was about to turn the age my grandfather was, 45, when he died of a heart attack. Loads of the men in my family are really fat. I've been pretty fat all my life, all my adult life. And, you know, I knew that makes heart disease much more likely and loads of other diseases. But I also thought, wait a minute, this sounds way too good to be true. Can this really be what it seems? Do you really get, you know, a free lunch? So I went on this big journey all over the world, from Iceland to Minneapolis to Japan, to really research these drugs, to talk to the scientists who invented them, the biggest critics of the drugs, the biggest defenders, to try to figure out what this kind of incredible revolution is going to mean for all of us.
And what does it mean long term? Because yes, you get short-term results, as you have too, and you've documented also what your body went through that wasn't so great. But long term, are people looking at what this means, or no one cares?
No, it's a really important question. So what we know is, in the long term, obesity is unbelievably bad for you. I was pretty shocked, actually, by the statistics. It makes pretty much everything we fear much more likely: dementia, heart disease, cancer, the lot. But, so you've got to weigh, when you think about these drugs, you've really got to weigh two sets of risks. There's the risks of being obese, which are really serious, and then there's the risks of the drugs. And I go through in the book the 12 big risks associated with these drugs. But you've gone to the heart of one of them, which is, in the really long term, we just don't know the long-term effects of these drugs, right? We know that reversing obesity is really good for you. We know that the drugs make you much more likely to get heart disease and stroke. But in the really long term, we just don't know. No one's been taking them that long. The longest time anyone's been taking these drugs is 18 years, and that's diabetics, people taking it for type 2 diabetes. So we don't know. But one of the leading experts on this, Dr. Shauna Levy, said to me, look, we don't know the long-term risks of these drugs, but we do know the long-term risks of obesity, and the long-term risks of the drugs would have to be horrendous to outweigh the risks of obesity.
But not everyone takes the drug because they're obese. People are taking it seems Hollywood, people are taking it to lose a couple of kilos.
Yeah, this is another one of the big risks. I think you've got to distinguish between two sets of people. There's people who are obese, who are taking the drugs to come down to be a healthy weight. I think there's still quite a lot of risks associated with that, but there's a strong case for it. And then there's people who were already a healthy weight or even skinny, who are taking them to be super skinny. I was just on a TV show with one of the Real Housewives in New Jersey. None of them were fat, right? They were all skinny at the start. Now they're bone thin. I would really urge people in that position to not take the drugs. Look, I totally understand. Women are made to feel lousy about their bodies no matter what they do. So I'm not judging anyone in that position. But actually, there are quite a lot of risks from being super skinny. You're taking all the risks of the drugs, plus the risks of being bone thin, which as you age can be quite serious. People should not be doing that.
Yeah, and you do think about that. Like I'm always feel in my life, and I've been heavy. I got up to 120 kilos once, and now I'm about 85. Right. If I can keep around under 85 kilos, but I was thinking, imagine if I got on Ozempic just to lose that pesky kilo.
Because it's hard to keep under the limit you want to be.
But as you say, the health risks could be worse. If I drop down into under 80, that's not good.
Yeah, and you're not obese, right? And it's a really interesting thing about these drugs, because we know how they work, right? So if you ate something now, doesn't matter what it is, after a little while, your pancreas will produce a hormone called GLP-1, which is basically your body's natural signals going, hey, Jonesy, you've had enough, stop eating, right? But natural GLP-1 only stays in your system for a couple of minutes, then it's washed away. What these drugs do is they inject you with an artificial copy of GLP-1 that, instead of sticking around for a few minutes, stays around in your system for a whole week. So it has this really strange effect. I'll never forget. The second day I was taking Ozempic, there's a calf just up the road from where I live, and I went there, and I ordered what I used to order for breakfast every day, which I'm slightly embarrassed to say was a massive chicken sandwich with loads of mayo in it. And I used to eat that, wolf it down, and to be honest, still be quite hungry.
Mm.
That day, I went in, I had like 4 mouthfuls, and I was just full. I didn't want any more. And that's how it felt from then on. You just feel very full very quickly. So it's not like dieting where you're sort of using willpower to deny yourself food. You just feel very full very quickly. It's a really strange feeling.
And I've heard,
that's why I went from...
And I've heard that people have gone off it because they miss the pleasure of food.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for a lot of people, this is a really big problem. For me, actually, weirdly, and I'm unusual, I want to stress this to listeners, but I actually had the opposite effect. I used to eat so fast, and I really realise now, you know, I grew up in a family, we've talked about this before, but I grew up in a family where there's a lot of addiction, a lot of craziness, and I really realise now, I learned from when I was very young to eat to calm myself down, to comfort myself. Right. And when you're on Ozempic, you actually can't really overeat very much. You would be sick if you overate. So I actually really slowed down my eating. And for me, I actually started to enjoy food much more. Now, I don't want to overstate it. I've not become a great foodie. You know, I'd still prefer, you know, KFC to eating at a Michelin-starred restaurant. But for me, it was a real change that actually, because I'm eating so much more slowly, I am actually tasting the food and enjoying it more.
It's like someone's mother. Don't eat your food so fast, because I was a big gut. That's what I do.
Exactly.
You're going to be here on tour with Sarah Grinberg. So you're going to be talking about that. You're going to be talking about stolen focus, which I just love, because I just think the new crack of our society is the mobile phone and the social media.
Let's go back to the old crack, which is crack.
Let's just go back to good old-fashioned crack.
At least at the old crack, you got a high. No, you're totally right. I'm speaking about my tour, Stolen Focus, because, you know, everyone listening in Australia, you know, you're having a huge attention crisis, not just adults, massive attention crisis for adults, but also for your kids. And I spent 3 years researching why is this happening to us. There's scientific evidence for 9 factors that are really undermining us and our kids' attention. They're particularly bad in Australia for all sorts of reasons. So I'm talking about what those factors are. I'll be speaking in Sydney, all over the country, about what those factors are. People can just Google Stolen Focus Australia Tour. You can see it. And most importantly, how we get our brains back, how we help our kids to get their focus back. Because anyone listening, you know, just think about anything you've ever achieved in your life, whether it's starting a business, being a good parent, learning to play the guitar, whatever it is, that thing you achieved came from deep focus and attention. When attention is our superpower. When it goes away, we really suffer. Our kids cannot be everything they should be if they can't focus. So it's really important to get your superpower back. I learned how to do that from the best scientists. So I'm really excited. I love Australia anyway, as you know. So I love talking to Australian audiences, and I'm going to be talking about how we can do that. So bring your kids. I'm not going to judge them. You know, the key thing is that your attention didn't collapse. Your attention is being stolen from you by some really big and powerful forces, but together we can defend ourselves from those forces, and then we can actually take on and defeat those forces.
There it is. To see Johann Hari while he's here on tour, head to tegdainty.com for all ticketing and tour information. Johann, we'll shout you a free piece feed next time we see you.
And I hope you guys are going to come and be in the audience. I'm going to get you freebies. I'd really love to see you both.
I'd love to be there.
Good on you,
Amazing.
Johann. Have
Thank
a good
you,
weekend.
Johann.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, bye.
Cheers. Thanks so much. Cheers.